y'all. Welcome to the broadcast. This is Dr. Kesha, and you're here for tonight's episode. What's up, Doc? All right, ask Dr. Kesha any relationship questions that come to your mind, you can ask. All you have to do is email me at I'm Global Dating. That's IMGLOBAL, then dating at gmail.com. You can email me there. Any question that comes to your heart. And maybe, just maybe, your question will be featured and we can have the conversation. All right. So that's cool. Let's take care of some of the housekeeping before we get started. First of all, I want to thank you in advance for viewing this broadcast, whether you're catching me live or whether you're catching it by replay. I appreciate you. Either way, I appreciate you. Please like this video. Feel free to leave a comment if you happen to have a further question regarding the topic that we're discussing, and or you just want to ask a question in general in the comment section. Feel free to ask. What I'll do for those that don't want to go the extra steps, I may pull that question and then apply it to the questions for next week, and then we can do that. And last but not least, subscribe. All right, I think we're ready. I think we're ready. You know, this week's question is interesting because I feel like a lot of people often wonder about this particular topic. So I think that it's a great question. And the question is, Dr. Kesha, what do you feel about ghosting? What do you feel about ghosting? Now, again, I'm responding based on, obviously, the professional side of me and all of the experience clinically and etc. Does that part. And then there's the woman side of me, right? There's the woman side of me, and then there's the clinical side of me, the professional side of me, and the human side of me, right? So I'm gonna just put it all in one little nice little gumbo, if that's okay. Now, for those that may not know what ghosting is, because there was a time when I didn't know ghosting was, because I was married at one point in time, and that word did not exist before I got married. So I had to discover what it was because I didn't know what it was. And so for those that are like me, whether you are newly single and or you just hiding under a rock and you've never heard of the term before, I'm going to define the term so that we can add some context to this. Now, what's interesting about ghosting is it is a term itself. I think the practice has been around probably as long as there's been relationships. Let's be honest, right? But the term itself hasn't always been around. We're always adding to our lexicon of words. We're always adding to the dictionary, our English language. And that's what makes the English language one of the most complicated languages. If you talk to foreigners, you talk to the international community, because we have a lot of homophones. We have a lot of words that sound the same, mean differently. We have a lot of words that, may have meant, this meaning maybe 10 years ago. Now it has a whole different meaning, a whole different spin to it. And then we have different types of dictionaries, right? We have the Urban Dictionary, so we have all these different references that we can pull from, which makes life even more difficult when it comes to communicating, because we have all these things going on. So the English language is a living language. That means the words and the meanings, they change over the course of time. So that even makes translating things complicated. And so it is just what it is. So the word itself, it became mainstream about 7 years ago. And so they're saying that about 7 years ago, around about, I'm trying to think of when this article itself was written, just to kind of get some reference. So that as of last year. So let's say about to be 8 years. Okay, about to be 8 years. The term itself became mainstream, and then it began to surge in online dating. All right, in that space. It says that it officially became an entry in the Webster's dictionary around 2017. So for those that may not have known that, again, this word itself, the concept is probably as old as we are, but the word itself about 8 years old. Okay. And what it talks about is when a friend, because it's not just romantic situations, but it's also friends that do it too. Friends or romantic interest disappears without an explanation. So one would define the word as an act of suddenly ceasing all communication with someone the subject is dating, but no longer wishing to date. This is done in hopes that the ghostee will get the hint and leave the subject alone, as opposed to the subject just simply telling him or her that they're no longer interested. So it is said that in the social media world, it's the millennials and the generation and Gen Z, that's the crowd that kind of birthed this concept into conception. Okay. The younger folks realize that it's just easier to just abruptly stop all communication with someone and disappear rather than take the time and the energy to explain why they want to break up and or end the relationship. Now, unfortunately, it's not just the young people, but we also have older folks, taking on this concept. And pretty much this is just about how most people are deciding to move. And then some people, it's done to them and then they in turn do it back. So it's a thing that, it has become perpetuated because again, the person doesn't like how it feels. And so they in turn do the exact same thing that was done to them. It's very weird and very strange for me. I'm just being honest. I find it strange and I find it weird because I'm not the queen of closure. I don't have to necessarily have closure because I can obtain closure within myself about a matter. I think I've mastered that within myself because there are some people that again we have unresolved stuff and we feel like we need to talk and iron out in order to have closure. That may not be a possibility in some instances. So you have to learn to resolve it within yourself because that person may not be available. You know what I mean? Literally, they may no longer be with us and may be some unresolved things within you, but you can't have that conversation because they're not around to have the conversation with. And so you're going to have to learn, right, to resolve it within you. So that's pretty much how I approach it, that I don't necessarily need to talk to someone, however, I'm a firm believer. The way you handle people, the way we handle each other, the way we deal with each other, I believe that those are seeds. Those are seeds. And it will come back to us. For those that are, spiritual or religious or, a person that reverence the Bible, there's a scripture that says you'll reap what you sow. Some people believe in karma. I'm the person that believes in the prior. I believe you reap what you sow. So because of that, I treat others how I want to be treated. So like I stated, I got married when I was in my later 20s and was married for almost, let's say about 12 years legally and really didn't get back into maybe the dating scene. So that means I was in my 40s when I became single again. So of course, I'm not familiar with these things. So, when you begin to, again, date, especially online dating, you don't really know the person anyway. So for some people, swiping left or right, making a decision, not making a decision, may chat a couple times, may come to the conclusion within my own mind that this isn't really going anywhere. what's the point of having the long conversation about it not going anywhere? I think they'll catch the hint if I don't call them back. I think they'll catch the hint if I don't text them back. And that may make some type of logical sense because they feel like I'm sparing their feelings by not having the talk, right? By not telling them the bad news or what may be perceived to be the bad news, but it may not necessarily be bad news for them, though. That's the thing. I think we're making a lot of assumptions, and I think it is cowardly. I'm going to be honest. Ghosting is cowardly to me. I feel like that if you take time to reach out, and if, again, if it's a one-time thing and it's just like both of you fall off and it's a mutual falling off, it's like, okay. But if you've spent some type of time getting acquainted with this person, and maybe you did plan a date, maybe you were considerate, or you've talked about deep and meaningful things, and there was some level of correspondence, the conversation may have seemed hopeful. For me, this is just me. If you're going to go out of your way to do that, the least you can do is, if you don't want to talk to them on the phone, like if there's you don't want to have a verbal conversation, you can still communicate, by way of text message and say, hey, you know what? It was great getting to know you, whatever that may be, whether it's you're just not ready, or, you're not ready for something serious, and, or you're dating other people, or, whatever. You seem cool, but as of right now, I'm just going to focus on me, whatever. But my opinion, this is my opinion. You're asking me, right? You're asking Dr. Kesha, right? Okay. All right. So I feel like if you put some type of energy towards getting to know this person, and either the person could have assumed that it, may have been going well, especially if there was no indicator that it wasn't going well. You and them know, right? In your communication, how they feel about you. You can tell whether somebody likes you or not. So if there are feelings involved, okay, so let's look at it on a romantic level. Then to me, be kind enough to just simply say, hey, you know what? I'm, dating other people right now. You seem cool. I wish you well. I'm just going to just focus on something else, or this and that, or the third. Bop, bop, bop. Or, you probably won't hear from me again, but it was nice getting to know you. I think I'm just going to focus on me, whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with just communicating. Now, the person may not respond to that, and that is their choice, but it can't be said that you did not do your due diligence, that you did not, make it clear by way of communication where you were, and you let them know where you are, so that they don't have to be wondering or hoping that you would, spin the block or anything of that nature. You can make it crystal clear to them that, this is where I am. Or maybe you want to spin the block later. That may be a thing too, where you're saying, you know what, you seem really dope. You seem really cool. But right now, this seems like a relationship that can escalate, you know what I'm saying, into something serious. And right now I'm just not ready for anything serious. And I don't want to break your heart. And I don't want to mislead you. That's honest. But hey, if I am ready, and if you are available, if it's okay if I hit you up, to me, that is mature. So that if you happen to come back, you know what I'm saying, you'll be more received because you were open and upfront, and you didn't play with the person's heart. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's mature. So I personally believe that it is a cop-out when people decide to ghost. You're not doing a person a favor, especially if a person, because again, you may be contributing to their pain. And so I don't think anybody that has any high or average EQ, if you have any social emotional intelligence, wants to go around hurting people, right? Or sowing seeds of hurt so that they one day will experience the same, because it comes back full circle. Like I said, you reap what you sow. So if you don't reap it directly, if you have children, they may reap it. Because if you a habitual ghoster, and you know it's a game for you, you deliberately like hurting people emotionally. If you're that sadistic, if you're that bad, if you're that twisted, it's for sure coming back to you. And if it doesn't catch you, it's going to definitely come somewhere down in your bloodline. And there are some people that are demented like that, where they enjoy hurting people. They may not physically hurt them, but they know that they are causing some type of emotional pain. And those are some very scary people. So you really have to be careful with that. And also how they end the ship, whatever it is, it may be friendship, relationship, how they end the ship should determine if you're willing to re-enter into a ship. Because if they don't manage what they could have had, or what they did have correctly, then you have to take that into consideration. And then you also have to look for fruit of maturity, fruit of change. You need to be very observant to see if, they've learned, they've grown before you allow them close to you. And some people, you just need to put them in the associates lane. They're not friends. They're not lovers. They're not someone that I'm considering. They're not someone that I'm dating. Just someone that I affiliate with, someone that is an associate, may or may not be social with this person, but I can be kind to them. And that's it. You don't have to make space for them. You don't have to make room. You don't have to get close. You can remain guarded. To me, yet set parameters. Definitely have, those parameters in place. It's important to, again, and not everybody gets access to you. They have to respect the boundaries that you've created. And so if this person has violated that and they were not considerate at all, then you have to ask yourself, is this a person that I want to have a re-entry into my life, especially if they mishandled me the first time? The first opportunity they had to handle me, they made a choice, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, to mishandle me. Do they deserve another chance? I would say most people don't. But I just think that sometimes we deceive ourselves, thinking that if that ghost has resurrected, that somehow we should give that person another chance. And I'm not persuaded that they deserve another chance, especially if, again, the ghosting concept is just them just simply losing contact, making a choice not to communicate for their selfish reasons. Most of it is selfish. They may try to convince you that they're doing it for your good, but it's really not for you as it is for them, because it's just easier for them. All right. And so again, sometimes people that do the ghosting, they will try to reach out and re-enter again, or to gain closure. They may even try to contact you to, but again, you really have to be careful when it comes to your emotional state, and make sure that you have those boundaries in place. Because, if this person is that type of person and this is just a part of their character, where they like to vanish and, become indeed ghost, and that's how they live their life, just abruptly cutting off contact without any type of justification. And then they just want to show back up and act as if, no, I don't talk to ghosts. This is just me. This is me personally. I don't talk to ghosts, especially now, again, depending on what ship you want them to be on. You know what I mean? And what ship they were on prior to the ghosting. Now, it's one thing to be a friend and just you lose contact or you stop communicating. That's one thing. But when the conversation was leading somewhere and then it abruptly ceases for no given reason, that right there is weird. I'm sorry. There's no better way to explain it. I think that that's weird, for you to be talking to one person and the conversation is deep, it's forward thinking, you are trying to draw this person in, and it's not just one, it's several. It may be even a season that you're in contact with this person. And then all of a sudden it just stops and they're thinking you're building something. And it just stops abruptly without any explanation, and you're not deceased. Yeah, I find that strange. So here are some signs for those that may not even know. Maybe you don't even know that you're being ghosted. Again, you're asking me what I think about it. I think that it's very mature. I'm sorry, immature. I think it's very immature. I think that an individual that feels comfortable practicing that or doing things like that, and they feel comfortable, like they're not, their conscience doesn't bother them, they could just move freely. I feel like that there's definitely some inadequacy there and some immaturity there. And also some of it may be mental health related, because there's no way in the world that you can have a heart of compassion and do people like that. Because the truth of the matter is, if you've been communicating, and again, depending on the depth of communication, depending on, in terms of how you communicate with this person, what conversations that you've had, what commitments that you've made while, having some type of discourse with this person. The other person may even think that they're in a relationship with you. It's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of confusion, and a real individual. When I say a real individual, someone who is caring and compassionate, and someone who is loving, and they don't want someone to do them that way. There's no way they would lead in a relationship like that. There will be no way they will be comfortable in treating someone like that. And like I forestated, you don't. That's just not how life works. What we sow into a thing, we reap. So if we are sowing hurt, and if we are sowing pain, if we are sowing confusion, you know what I mean? If we're sowing, again, this is what we're sowing when we do these types of things. When we draw people in and then we drop them, we are causing trauma in some cases, not all, but in some cases. Either we are exasperating trauma that's already within the person, because the person has to ask themselves, what is it that's in me, or what is it that is about me that's attracting these type of people? You have to ask yourself that question. And like I said, this is a relatively new concept. You know what I mean? It really is. Because for the most part, people used to clearly communicate whatever it was, no matter how uncomfortable it was, because that's just what the times were, this concept or whatever, even though some of its components may have existed, but not in the fullness. So let's just talk about some of the signs when it comes to ghosting. Again, the question was asked, Dr. Kesha, what do you think about ghosting? I think it's whack. I really do. I think it's weak. I think that I personally wouldn't ever choose a person that has ghosted me in any capacity. I'm huge on communication. I am. So, especially if it's romantic. Like I said, depending on the type of friendship that you have, there are some friends that just don't talk every day. I have a best friend. We've been friends for over 30 years. We don't talk every day. But when we do talk, we talk. We can spend hours on the phone easily. We catch up, and it almost feels as if we're continuing the conversation. Like it's, it never gets old. And I'm like that with a lot of people, friends and family. That's just the way it is. But do I talk to everybody every day? No. And if I was in a romantic relationship, I'm huge over quality over quantity. I don't necessarily have to hear from you, especially if a schedule doesn't permit. I think communication, put it like this. For me, if you are in a romantic exchange, then I think the communication has to be as frequent and as quality as possible. Because again, you're in a romantic exchange. That's different. But if it's a friendship, there still needs to be an exchange in order to build that, or to keep building that relationship. But it doesn't have to be as frequent, but it does have to be of quality, of substance, because of the less times that you do have the opportunity to communicate. So let's go into the signs real quick. Found this in an article. Shout out to the a very well mind. Let me go ahead and share this with you. I think this might be educational, and that's definitely my wheelhouse. All right, let me just make sure you see what I see. Awesome sauce. All right, let's go. So again, ghosting is often obvious, but sometimes it isn't. But it also can be a gradual process, right? You can start seeing signs of an individual that is moving like that. The other person might start by soft ghosting, where they progressively minimize contact over a period of time. So they may go from talking to you every single day, morning, noon, night, good night, just wanted to hear your voice. Good morning text. Good afternoon, they may actually call you or whatever. And then they'll go from morning, noon, and night to just morning. And then you won't hear from them maybe until late at night. And then over the course of time, instead of those morning texts, you may only hear them late at night. And then after a while, depending on your participation, because catch the hint, catch the tea, catch the shade, right? If it's too late, what is there to conversate about? You know, if it's too late, at that point, everyone should be either going to bed or, you know, getting some rest. What is there to even talk about? But more than likely, especially if their head isn't in the right space, right headspace, it's more than likely going to be in the gutter. And so, but if you're down with it, they may even continue to until, again, you're a placeholder for the most part. Because if they're weaning you, then you are a placeholder. And that's just, I'm just being honest. Can I keep it real? Can I keep it funky? Please let me help you. Because I think that we just need that raw honesty. We really do. Because I think that if we constantly coddle, I think we're going to continue to find ourselves in situations. Okay. And then ultimately they'll just stop. All right. So here are some early signs that someone might be ghosting you. Okay. The regular, let me get my glasses, y'all. You know how it goes here. Let me get my specs so I can see. You probably can see it, which is good. They regularly bail out on plans to get together. Been there. I've had people the virtual plans. I've had people make a commitment to call and didn't follow through. So those things do happen and they are signs. You should make a mental note of them. They struggle to make commitments. It could be something basic. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be serious. It can just be basic things, but they struggle with making the commitment. They don't like to share personal information. Red flag. They don't want to meet your friends or family. They don't want you to meet theirs and they don't want to meet yours. It's both. It's not just theirs, but it's also that's not just their friends, but it's also yours. They don't want to do that because they know that the goal is not long term. They disappear from social media. They rarely respond to your texts or calls. You know, again, to me, it's about being considerate, especially if you have been in conversation and been communicating. I think it's rude personally if you've been in communication and then a person just reaches out and say, hey, you know what? I haven't heard from you in a minute. Are you okay? Are you good? I think it's just kind and respectful to say, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm good. You know what? Then that to me opens the door. It really does for you to share what's really going on, what your intentions are, which is I'm just not interested in, taking this further, but you seem like a very cool person. I hope you find what you're looking for. Just as simple, just as simple. But the rare, respondents, I think it's rude personally. Call me old school. I just think it's rude. Now, some people may be, I'm not obligated to this person. I'm not obligated. It's not about you being obligated to a person. What it's about is the consideration and you wanting that same type of communication and consideration. You would want that. You have to ask yourself, would I want somebody to treat me like that? Would I want that? The answer for the most part would be no. especially if you happen to care for the person and you're genuinely interested in their well-being. If you were just talking to someone for, like, say 3 to 6 months and all of a sudden they fell off, you would really be concerned if they're alive or not. Like, are you sick? Are you in the hospital? What's going on? Especially if there was, like, I mean, a real pattern of consistency and then all of a sudden they stopped. Yes, of course you would be worried. Why would you, especially if they reach out to you and you choose not to reach back? I feel like that's cruel. That's what I believe. It's cruel for you to do that. And it says a whole lot about you. And honestly, you're doing them a favor. You really are, because you're gonna get it back. But you're doing them a favor because it's better that you not be a part of their life, because you're just simply not a good person. I'm just gonna be honest. If someone deliberately makes a choice not to respond to a text or a call after being in constant communication and falling off with no explanation, and you can't reassure them that you're at least okay, I think you're mean. I think you're mean spirited. I think you're evil. I really do. Because why would you even put somebody in a situation to have to stress out about you? They have other things to be concerned about. So you're adding to their stress, you're adding to their anxiety unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. Your conversations with them lack depth and they seem disinterested. Again, if they seem disinterested, then more than likely they are disinterested. All right. And so that is just the real, unadulterated truth. So, what do I think about ghosting? I just think it's just really not good. It's not good for the culture. It's not good for mental health. It is simply just not good. Not everybody's a phone person, but you know what? We now have modern technology that gives us an opportunity to communicate in many different ways. There are emails, there's text messaging, you can leave them a voice message. There's so many ways by which, or you can do a FaceTime, conferencing, there's so many different options for communication. You can drop a letter in the mail. You know what I mean? If you have an address, if you have a P.O. box, you can, if you know a friend or associate, you can shoot the communication over to their peer group or friends, or if you happen to be connected to a certain group, you can communicate information that way. There's really no excuse, especially in this day and age, when it comes to just modern technology. There's no way in the world. You would think that we would get better at communicating and not worse. And I feel like with the component of ghosting, our world has become a lot worse, not better. Better. I know that it sounds cool, but it's really not. And people that practice that are not cool at all. And they need to do their self, work. Because again, if you're gonna reap what you sow, that goes without saying. You're gonna reap what you sow. And if it doesn't hit you, it's gonna hit your household. So with that being said, when we move with intention, and we treat other people how we want to be treated. That is the golden rule, and it's a golden rule for a reason. All right. So in dating, in relationships, if we just don't want to be connected to this person, if we just don't want to communicate with this person, then just make it plain. If you don't want to hurt their feelings, then send them a text message. If you don't want to text them, then if you happen to have an email, you can ask them for an email and you can actually send them a message, or you can inbox them. If you're connected in social media, that's another one. You can also send them a direct message through social media. So there's so many different ways to communicate. Hey, you know what? It was cool getting to know you. Like a great person, but just not a good fit for me. I really do hope that you find what you're looking for. Take care. Hope for the best. That's it. Very simple. Maybe you don't have the language. Maybe you don't have the words. Maybe you don't know how to navigate in those spaces. Maybe it is an awkward place for you. And maybe But at the same time, I feel, and this is what I believe, and unfortunately, this is when we're dealing with humanity and when we're dealing with us as global citizens, we have to really do better when it comes to communication. It starts with these types of things. All right. So it's very simple. Be intentional in all that you do. From the moment that you communicate with this person or you're getting to know this person, you say, hey, you know what? I don't want to mislead you. If for whatever reason, if this doesn't work out, I wish the best for you. I'm just going to just be open and honest about that. Is that okay with you? I think people would find that a breath of fresh air, especially in this dispensation time when everybody think it's cool or it's okay to ghost. So that's our question this week. Dr. Kesha, what do you think about ghosting? I think it's a negative. I think it's something that grown folks that we should not be doing. And just make it plain. Like I said, it's one thing if it's a left or right situation, then that's one thing. I think the expectation is not constant communication. I think this can apply and make sense in certain lanes and certain situations. If you're literally online and somebody, inbox you and you don't know them and they don't know you, you don't have any obligation to them. I will say this, treat people kindly. But I think that sometimes people, especially on social media, and this is the other side of it, have this sense of entitlement where they feel like you have to say something to them if they say something to you. And, I don't necessarily agree with that. Because here's the thing about social media. You don't even know if you're actually talking to the person that they're portraying themselves to be. So that is the whole downside of social media. Behind the pictures may be a whole different person. It may be a scammer. Who's to say? So it may not necessarily be safe to communicate. And so if a person is reluctant, or if you feel, like, I'm not necessarily feeling like I should really communicate back at this person, then guess what? You have to respect that. To me, that's not a ghost. That's not, because you didn't even have any entry. Like you weren't even given access at all. So that right there, just to kind of make it plain, would not be considered a ghost. If somebody just hits you up randomly, and if you don't communicate back, that's not ghosting. Ghosting is when there was some type of movement and communication with this person, some sense that you were going in a direction, getting to know each other, getting acquainted with this person, and may have been interpreted that you were trying to build something, some type of ship. It could be relationship as friendship, or it may be, platonic friendship or romantic. And maybe that was the vibe. And then all of a sudden, all communication just stops. That by definition is ghosting. All right. So I just wanted to clarify the difference between the two, because there's some people that feel rejected if you say nothing, if they reach out, but there's no guarantee. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? But again, treat everyone with kindness. I encourage that because we need more love and kindness in this world. And also we want that love and kindness reciprocated. We want it back. And so that's basically my take on ghosting in 2024. All right. Don't do it. Be man and woman enough to speak your speech and tell them what time it is. If you're not on that time, listen, right now, when it comes to the ships, I don't want to add nothing new to my situation. You seem cool. Hope you find what you're looking for. All right. You take care of yourself. That's it. Bye. That's it. No hard feelings. And if they feel away after you were open and honest and upfront, then that's on them. That's not on you. You've done your part. What part did you do? You were honest and forthcoming, and you didn't string them along. You didn't gain their mind. They will, even if they get in their feelings, they will appreciate that when after they sit for a while and process, they'll think back and they'll say, you know what? I appreciate so-and-so for being forthcoming and honest. At least I know where I stand. And trust me, they will appreciate that. And moving forward, hopefully they'll pay it forward and they'll do the next person if they happen to stumble upon someone that may be interested in them that they're not interested in. Because again, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Not everybody is the one. Not everybody is a person. Not everybody is your match, and that's okay, because that's a part of the process. It really truly is. And so we have to accept that, especially for those that are dating and trying to build ships. Okay. It just comes with the territory. So we have to be okay with that. And we also have to be okay with no. I don't see that as rejection. I really don't. I see that as protection. It's all about perception. That's your reality. If they say no, they're just not the person. And guess what? That's okay. Just sit in that for a minute. Really okay. Because you know what that means? That means that individual that is special, that is for you, is close. That person is near. And there are times when you do have to kiss a bunch of frogs before you can find your prince or your princess. Okay. You have to go through your process, and that's okay. All right. You're just ruling them out. And then there are some lessons you can take away from that experience. Maybe you say to yourself, that person seems to be very bright, very intelligent. That's a type of person that I would want to be with. Someone who is, because I feel like through these experiences, we begin to, I guess, create a list for ourselves of the right type of contenders, or someone that we appeal to, or that seems appealing to us. We can create a mental list of the things that we want in a person. We'll discover that on our journey of exploration when it comes to building ships. All right. That's what happens. And then we gain experience in that lane. And that experience, it helps us when we do ultimately get into a relationship. A lack of experience may be a difficult, uphill battle, but with a little patience from your partner, you guys will get through that. But again, experience does not equate to being promiscuous when you're in a dating circle. So just that I'm clear. Let me be clear. Dating does not equal sex. Dating could just simply mean just being in social spaces where you're getting acquainted, and only in social spaces for being acquainted or getting acquainted. That's it. Dating as in gathering data, because I know this generation has taken it and they've made it booty calls. We used to call them booty calls. They've made it, hit a one hit and quitter, you know what I'm saying, situations. I'm not speaking of that. I'm speaking of, I'm interested in finding my person, and so I'm going to open myself up to the process, and I'm going to get to know my people, and I'm going to put myself out there just so that I can get my feet wet, so that I can get some experience, as well as build my portfolio when it comes to outlining what is good for me, what I'm looking for, what I'm not looking for, right? Getting to know myself and how, I show up in situations and circumstances, how I manage the environment that I'm in, how I am cognitively when making decisions, how I show up when it comes to my personality. I'm getting to know myself through the process. And so therefore, I'm going to be able to recognize, as I come to know myself, if a person is suitable with where I am and where I'm going. You can only get acquainted with yourself through those types of experiences. All right. So that's why I say it's okay. Now, while you're doing that, no, you don't give yourself away. Of course, you don't do that. You save that for someone special. I say marriage, someone else may say committed relationship, but no, you don't give yourself away in the process or through the process. No, you don't. No, that's your physical. That energy is not for everybody. That is for only someone special. That is only for your person, technically, because not everybody is your person, because soul ties are real. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it. I enjoyed this conversation. So I hope you're able to catch me live. I may change the time because I think Sundays are going to be challenging. This is a test run, by the way. This is a test run because I'm trying to I'm trying to find the right fit in terms of time slots for me, because I know that there's a lot of activity at a certain time in the evening, and especially on Sundays, usually family time, Saturdays, usually family time. So I'm trying to find the right time for this segment. So I'm exploring right now. We changed it from 2 was definitely bad. I don't even know what I was thinking. Then 9 can be kind of tricky because I literally just came in the house before I did the stream. Because again, my schedule, my life is, I have to center my life around other people's lives. So it's just not me, myself, and I. And so it's just difficult sometimes because of that purpose and that reason. So we may change the time, but that's okay because we will continue sharing, because I believe sharing is caring. And the information that we are sharing, I know that it will bless you, because it would not be in my heart to do if it wasn't for a purpose. All right. So that's what I believe. Everything is intentional. We do things on purpose with a purpose, and that's how we move. So again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. For those that are watching, for those that will be watching, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please let me know if you're doing a replay love. If you're showing some love by way of replay, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share if you feel inclined. And last but not least, subscribe. Click that notification bell so that you'll know when we're coming on live or when we've uploaded some videos. And that's about it. I am considering Saturday evenings. I used to do midnight on Saturdays for streaming. So I used to do it on Facebook though. And it wasn't like every, there was seasons. There were seasons where it was like, I think cuffing season, we did something like that where we were like doing something special for singles on Saturday night on Facebook. So that was kind of cool. So I'll have to see, because cuffing season is coming again, huh? It's almost that time, so we'll have to see. All right, so I'll let you know. I will definitely upload another ad, and you'll know, if we're changing the day, if we're changing the time. I'm looking at Saturday. I know there's a lot that I do on Saturdays, so we'll see. All right, you all take care. Until next time, God bless you, and bye.